Hello everybody, how you doing? Chef Rob here. I am going to show you today a classic Italian dish, eggplant parmesan. It's a great dish to show during the summertime. It's July and August right now because everything is fresh out of the garden. We have fresh basil growing like crazy. I've got eggplants coming from the grocery store. Tomatoes are starting to become ripe. This is a beautiful time of the year to do vegetable dishes, vegetarian dishes, and this is one. If I bake the eggplant properly, even my daughters will eat it. This is two parts to this recipe. First, we're going to make the tomato sauce, which is no canned tomatoes, only fresh. I'm going to use vine-ripe tomato. I prefer vine-ripe tomato over plum tomatoes when you're making a tomato sauce because it has more volume to it. There's a more acidity. It's a little bit more flavorful than a plum tomato. So we're going to start with two things. The first is a small onion we're going to use, and we just need a little bit of onion for this. It's not going to make it too oniony. I'm going to give you a couple of tips for using your chef's knives today. I'll bet everybody that I'm talking to today has a beautiful chef's knife in their kitchen. The trick is to keep it sharp while you're using it. That's going to, one, keep you from cutting your fingers if it's nice and sharp because it's actually easier to use, and making a more beautiful product when you cut it. You've got a steel with your kit. Always use it. And at a slight angle, just run your chef's knife over your steel. And what that does is that polishes the blade and keeps the blade a little bit more at the proper angles because it does at a microscopic level get kind of dented up while you're using it. So it's nice and sharp like a razor blade right now. Don't be afraid to take your chef's knife to, if you can find it in your town, the local shop where they can actually run it on a grinder and put a really nice edge on it too. That's a good thing to do. It's very difficult to do at home. If you do it, have a professional do it, it's the right thing to do. Okay, another thing, really quickly. I'll get away from this and get to cooking quickly. When you hold your knife, think of baseball. When you want more power out of your baseball bat, you want to choke up on it, hold it a little further up. So I see a lot of people that hold their chef's knife like this. You're going to get more power out of it, more accuracy if you actually use your thumb and forefinger, grab the knife and hold it way up on the blade like this. You're going to get more power and accuracy out of it. When you want to cut your onion, you got the skin on, you take the little tip off. We're going to cut it in half. And I'm leaving the stem on because that leaves the onion, keeps it together, keeps it from falling apart. We're going to take the skin off quickly. And I'll take the skin off the other half quickly. And you always want to take enough of the skin off so you don't have chewy, leathery pieces of the onion left. Another good thing to have in your kitchen while you're working on your cutting board is a scraper, because when you have a little garbage left on your cutting board, you've got something to pick it up really quick and dump it in your garbage bowl. Okay, now you want to hold everything kind of at a 45-degree angle. It's nice because your arms are at a 45-degree angle. Instead of cutting like this, straight up and down, you end up kind of turning. So at a 45-degree angle, we're going to cut little 1/4-inch slices in one direction. Hold it, 1/4-inch slices in another direction. Okay, on the other side, same thing. There you go, and turn it. You see chefs on TV shows chopping things at super high speed and onions flying all over the place. You don't need to do that here, but having this scraper is great because once again, you can pick everything up, and put it in your sauce pot. It makes it really easy to clean your chef's knife off and pick everything up off your cutting board. Here's another really quick thing. I see people in grocery stores buying the canned pre-ground garlic, which I hate. All pro chefs hate. It just doesn't taste like fresh garlic. So, but this is kind of tricky to work with, the bulb of the garlic. The first thing you do is put your hand on it and smash it. That gets it broken apart really easy to work with. We're just going to get a couple of pieces because that's all we need for now. And we'll keep these for later. And what I do again is I kind of smash them again. And every little lobe of garlic has a little leathery piece on each end. I take those off. It makes it very easy to peel the pieces of garlic. That's the real challenge, is to peel it so there's no paper left on it. See, chopping the little lobe off keeps the paper from sticking to the lobe of garlic. This is how all the Italian chefs have so much attitude, because they're always smashing everything before they chop it. Because once again, with the garlic, the best way to chop this is to take the tip of your knife, put it on the garlic, and smash it. Smash it once again. Half your job is done already. Now chop it up. And this is the way, this makes a big difference in the flavor of your sauce, whatever the sauce may be, whatever it is that you're cooking with garlic. It makes a big difference in the flavor if you use nice fresh garlic from the bulb. Okay, once again, take this out, see how quick it is, see how easy it is to get everything off your cutting board. My cutting board and my knife is fresh and clean now. Okay, we're going to turn our PAC onto, well, we're going to turn it on to medium high. I'm going to press start. We're going to get a little bit of olive oil in. I'm going to actually get it here. Okay. Never use a metal spoon or a metal scraper in here, because you have the chance of possibly ruining the non-stick cooking area. So you could either use a spatula that's accustomed to high heat, or a wooden spoon. Okay, while that's going, I've already done most of my tomatoes, but to dice the tomatoes, once again, a couple of times while you're doing your cooking, gently run your knife over your steel. Take the core out. So you can take the core out like this, or you can just take the top off if you don't like it and it's hard to work with. And once again, we want 1/4 inch slices, so we're going to slice it 1/4 inch thick, and I'm holding my knife with my thumb and my finger. Okay. 1/4 inch slices. And that's all I do. And the great thing about this is we're not taking out the seeds, we're not peeling it, we're not doing any work, we're just taking a beautiful product that we've taken out of the garden, we've washed with water, and we dice it and get it going in the pot. And I smell garlic and onions going already, and it smells great. Okay. If you have high heat, it cooks very quickly. What we don't want is a raw garlic flavor. We want it to caramelize just a tiny bit. And we are there. We have white wine here. Don't use a sweet wine, use more of a Chardonnay or something that's a little bit more dry. The sweet wines will alter the flavor of your sauce. And what this does is it adds a little bit more acidity, the grape acidity, and it also cools down your pan right away. If your garlic is starting to burn, it slows down the cooking immediately. And we add our tomatoes. Look at that. on the side of the pan, I don't burn my finger. That's the great thing about using this PIC. We'll use the rest of the tomatoes. Okay. Now, I'm going to add the herbs. The basil, we always mince or we chop and we add to the sauce. There's 2 other flavorings that I can put in. You can either use the dry and flavorless oregano and thyme that you have in the grocery store, or you can have these from your garden or buy them from the herb garden, or buy them from the herb part of the grocery store. This is the thyme. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw the whole stem in, and then I'm going to pull the whole stem out. And what we're doing is we're going to add the flavor, but we're not going to have the little leaves and the stems left over. And here's some oregano. And it smells totally different than the oregano that you get out of the dry can that you get in the grocery store. We're going to add that. I did wash all of this first. It's really important, especially if you've got it in your garden, because you don't want any gritty pieces of sand and dirt left over. So, with my basil, see how I kind of folded it up and crunched it up real fine? That makes it much easier to chop it. So I've got it all pinched up in my thumb and forefinger. And we just chop it real fine. Quick as that. Basil goes in. And we're heating up very quickly. And all we're doing with this is we're going to simmer this tomato sauce just until the water reduction comes along, and it just reduces it so it's not a watery sauce. I don't want it to be thick and pasty, but I don't want it to be watery. So that's really all we're doing with this. We add a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of kosher salt. And I say kosher because I'm using my thumb and forefinger to grab it. And when I use kosher, I can feel what I've got. If you use iodized salt, you know, from the little round jars, it's sea salt. It's you can easily over-season your sauce because you can't quite feel how much you've got. And this is balsamic vinegar. And this is the difference between a tomato sauce that we have here in the States and the tomato sauce that a true Italian chef makes. It adds some nice, a little color and flavor that really gives it some beautiful character. So we're going to simmer this sauce for about 15 minutes, and it's going to be done, and we're going to start working on breading the eggplant and toasting the eggplant, and we're going to be putting everything together, and I'll have a beautiful entree. Hi, Chef Rob back. We got stage 1 finished, a beautiful tomato sauce. I love it. It's got the right consistency. Here, if you can see, it's got a nice consistency. It's not too watery, but it's not too thick. It has a beautiful aroma from all of the herbs and the balsamic vinegar. So it's going to be a very nice sauce for the, and it's not a classic tomato paste pizza-like sauce. It's a classic Italian summertime sauce that we're going to have. Okay, we're moving on to the eggplant. Fortunately, while this was simmering, I had the time to finish my eggplant, get them garnished, and get them ready to cook. I'm going to show you how we do it. On the recipe, and this is a debated issue with eggplant lovers, they say that what you want to do with eggplant before you cook it is put some salt on it. And what that does is it cures it. It draws out the excess moisture. Some of the excess moisture on eggplant that's very, very large is bitter. I don't like to cook with very large eggplant. It overgrows and it does get a little bit bitter, so I always prefer the smaller ones. So if you are working with the larger eggplant, I see the logic in putting a little bit of salt on both sides, letting it sit in your refrigerator for about a half an hour, and you will see that it starts to cure, basically. It starts to draw the excess moisture out. And then when you bring it out of the refrigerator, you rinse the excess salt and water off, and the eggplant will have a much more mild flavor. But seeing how I found some beautiful young eggplants in the grocery store, we're going to use these instead. Okay, and I'm slicing them on a little bit of a bias so they look a little bit bigger. And really all we have to do is just one for now. I'm going to season them a little bit anyway right now, just to increase the flavor. And the first thing we do is put some flour on it. That way the egg has something to stick to. And we're going to turn it over into egg. And now the breadcrumbs have something to stick to. And what I did with the breadcrumbs, this is a secret with air frying. If we were not to air fry, we're going to use a little oil in the saute pan, and that helps brown the breadcrumbs. What we're doing here is I tossed breadcrumbs with a little bit of olive oil. Okay, and now what we're doing is we're tossing the eggplant in the breadcrumbs, and they've got a little bit of the olive oil tossed in them. And having the olive oil in the breadcrumbs is going to keep them from getting over caramelized in the NuWave. So we're all set. We're ready to go. Get the dome on. We're going to set the temperature for 400 degrees. And we're going to set the time for 15 minutes. And press start. And we're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to watch them as they bake. We don't want to allow it to get over caramelized. Just keep an eye on them like you keep an eye on everything, but this should be fine. What we're going to do is about, at the end of this time cooking process, we are going to flip them over once so they're caramelized on both sides. We're going to get a little mozzarella cheese, and then they're going to be finished, and we'll plate them up and be ready to go after that. Hey everybody, how you doing? Everything's looking fantastic. Our sauce is looking beautiful. It's fully cooked. It has a beautiful aroma to it. It looks wonderful. Our eggplant is baking. It's baking under 400 degrees. It's caramelized. The breadcrumbs are caramelized beautifully at 400 degrees. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the top off here, and we're going to put it on pause. We're going to put some. We're going to flip them. Put some mozzarella cheese on top. Melt the mozzarella cheese, and then we're ready to plate up and have a beautiful lunch. So. First we pause, and be careful for the steam that's coming out, okay? So always kind of keep your head back when you're pulling these up. You see the caramelization on them? And I can feel that they're all set up and they look nice. I like this much better than just broiling the eggplant because it's got more body and texture to it. I can get my daughters to eat eggplant when it's breaded, but if I broil it, they run away. And I don't think you can put too much cheese on here. All right. And now you could use, if you like, there's a bunch of different cheeses. You're not stuck with mozzarella. They have a beautiful fresh mozzarella bulb where you can slice it and lay slices on, and that would look fantastic as well. We're putting the top back on, and it'll probably take about 1 to 2 minutes. Just keep your eye on it. The cheese melts very fast. This has been simmering, and I've been having it simmer at about 175, and that's about perfect because we don't want it rapidly boiling and we don't want it just sitting dead still. So this is perfect. And we're just about there. I see some caramelization on my cheese, so it's time to plate up. And just gently. All right. There's the sauce. And we're ready to go here. Ah, that smells great. A nice entree. And this makes a beautiful buffet item too because they're easy to put on a platter and easy for your guests to pick up. And I have 3 right here, but if you're serving this to me, I think I'd want 5. There we go. eggplant parmesan with mozzarella cheese and a beautiful tomato and balsamic vinegar sauce.